I lost $1 million commission doing exactly that. First, let's talk about the regulation. There is a regulation out there called A2P10DLC. It is a federal communications regulation. You're prevented from using a marketing system to send text messages. It's federally regulated by the FCC.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commercial Connections, Investing with Confidence. I'm Brittany, the show's producer, and if you're a commercial broker wondering how AI is changing the game, this episode is for you. Our guest today is David Monroe, CCIM, a multifamily investor, consultant, and CCIM instructor who's gone beyond theory to build his own AI-powered software for brokers. He's helping reshape how we identify opportunity, moving beyond guesswork and into data-driven precision. David's also the chair of the CCIM Education Committee for 2025, and he's here to help brokers rethink their pipeline, process, and potential. I'm here with your host, Rene Nelson, CCIM, based in Eugene, Oregon. She'll be leading today's conversation. But first, David, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your background and what led you to what you're building today?
So I was sitting in a hotel room in 2011. I actually haven't been in this business very long, comparatively. And I was thinking to myself, am I ever going to be able to retire? And I was a helicopter mechanic. I was doing well as a helicopter mechanic. I was, with overtime, making low six figures a year, just over $100,000. So not bad for a blue collar employee. But it was December 28th. I'm sitting in that hotel room and I'm thinking, can I retire? And I thought about what I had in the bank account. And I thought about some things that I had sold that year because we were getting ready to transition and move from Orlando to Mobile, Alabama. And it scared me. And I realized I've got to change what I'm doing. So I started researching how to build wealth outside of a 401k. And real estate kept popping up. Real estate. I'm like, okay, let's go down that route. And long story short, by March of 2012, so 3 months later, I had my real estate license. Didn't have any intention of being a broker, just worked out that way. And started investing in brokering. I was always an investor first, a broker second, but then that kind of transitioned into being a broker. But I was also investing in deals. So one of the things I liked to do was list a property or be on the buy side. And it was always multifamily after I got a little of the rest out of my system. Like I did one retail property, one office property, a couple of land parcels. No, I did two retail, both restaurants, and one industrial building, and realized multifamily was definitely where I wanted to go. So from 2013 on, that's what I've done. So what I would do is I would always ask the buyers, are you guys raising capital for this deal? If so, I would like to put half my commission in the deal as a passive investor. And I always let the seller know. It was always in the contract, so everything was up and up, everything was disclosed. But that's how I would build wealth and got my start investing in multifamily. I like to call it learn while you earn, if you want to think about it. And was collecting commissions and investing in deals at the same time. So that worked out well for me. That's where I got the term strategic partnering from and started this strategic partnering community in early 2021. Actually started putting it into the Brain Housing Group in late 2020 and then started the community in January. And we've grown to, we're at 349. We got two more members last night. So we're at 349 members in the community and we just keep growing. It's been fun. And now I've been tech related pretty much since about '08. I realized that AI is going to change the way we live life. It's that transformative. If you think back to the early 1990s, what was the big global shift, like life-changing shift? It was the internet. Every time we have these shifts, the next shift was getting a desktop computer on every single household, then the internet in every single household. And we keep having these shifts. Well, I think the next global big shift is we're going to have to adapt to AI because it is going to affect jobs and it's going to affect how we as real estate professionals do business. And so that's why I'm building CRE Brokerage Pro.
So that leads into a good question that I have for you, because the three of us were chatting recently and you said something that was very interesting to me. You said instead of thinking outside of the box, it was a paradigm shift. You said you have to think inside the box. And that was the first time I had heard that. Expand on that a little bit, if you would. I thought that was pretty smart.
I didn't think of it. I heard it from somebody else many years ago. I think it was Tony Robbins, if I'm not mistaken. You can't think outside a box. We live in a box. There is no outside the box for us. That's not the way to think about it. What we have to do is we have to shift our paradigm inside our existing world, the box that we currently live in. And we have to stretch ourselves and do things that we don't normally do, but we're still within the walls of that box that's around us, whatever it may be. We're all different. But what we have to do is we have to change the way we think. We have to shift our habit patterns. We have to shift our thinking. So I like to say it's changing the paradigm. I think it was Tony Robbins that said that, and I just kind of got it from him, but that was many years ago. I don't remember if he was the actual one. So yeah, that's where that came from.
So along those lines of shifting your thought process in the paradigm, a lot of brokers have a tendency to focus on the 2% of owners and try to go after, now I'm specifically talking about multifamily owners. We have a tendency to try to go after 2%. Maybe that's the person that owns the most real estate in a certain geographic location, like a campus location or an MSA. And we have a tendency to ignore the other 98% of owners that maybe haven't even started thinking about the process yet, or even considering selling. Similar to when you were sitting in your hotel and you thought, I want to retire. I'm not sure if I have enough. That happens to a lot of multifamily owners where one day they either have a death in the family or health issues or something like that. So I guess my question is, how do we shift that mindset and start focusing on that 98%?
It's an old saying in real estate: build relationships. It isn't going to be a quick sale. The 2% are going to give you, that's the low hanging fruit. They're going to give you that quick sale. Not that quick. It is commercial real estate after all, but quicker than the 98% will. So that's why people focus on that 2%. But it's the 98% where the real relationships are made. You build that trust with those folks by reaching out to them, being friendly, not being salesy. Try to be consultative. And something else I teach is consulting. And using that approach, you go into it with a solution mindset, not I'm going to make money mindset. And that allows you to build those relationships, find those solutions for those owners. So when that point does come where it is time for them to make that decision, it's a no-brainer for who they're reaching out to. That's the long game.
Yep, that makes sense. What are some of the AI opportunities that you've put together, and share with our listeners some of the AI tools that you've built that will help, especially commercial brokers, work on that long game?
One of the tools that I've built recently, and I build all of my tools using AI. I'm not a coder. I've never been a coder. Well, I can't say I've never been a coder. I learned HTML programming, the stuff that your websites are built on. I learned HTML programming. Oh my goodness. I was in Lafayette, Louisiana, working on oil rigs as a helicopter mechanic. And at night, after I was done with the helicopter, I was learning HTML code. This was 1999, 2000.
Oh.
So tech's been in my brain for a long time. I was building websites before WordPress ever even came around. WordPress wasn't even a thing yet. It was literally just HTML, the old www, and there was the W3 organization kind of controlled all of that, and then PHP came along and some other programming language, JavaScript. And a lot today is still written with JavaScript. Like my tools that I currently have are all written in JavaScript. Now, you don't need to know any of that. The point is, I've had AI write that JavaScript for me, knowing how that code should look and knowing what I wanted, because it's all about prompting and seeing the result, testing the result, and then just educating that prompt on how to come to the right result, because it's going to mess up sometimes. And so I've been able to build these models that are on the dashboard inside Acquisition Pro. One of those is the CRE prospecting script generator. So that script generator you give it your value proposition, tell it about yourself. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're retail, industrial, office. Obviously, we focus on multifamily. Doesn't matter what it is. And then it will write your outbound scripts for you, your call scripts, your email messaging scripts, a follow-up campaign. It writes 5 follow-ups for every one. So if you're doing a phone script, it'll write 5 scripts for follow-up. Same with voicemail, same with email, same with text message, same with social media direct message. So all of your outbound messaging can be written by AI inside Acquisition Pro.
Wow, that is phenomenal. I've sat through several of your software trainings and have actually engaged in the software. It is mind-blowing to me just how many hours you have been able to save me from analyzing a property to, like you said, creating the sales scripts, giving me the different software tools to figure out how to go find owners. Talk a little bit about your underwriting tool, because for me, as a broker in the trenches, that was a game changer when I could see how you could drop in a rent roll and a T12 and an offering memorandum, and your software could analyze that for us. Walk our listeners through that.
So, same way I created the script generator, I created the document analyzer. And much like you can do in a regular LLM, but you got to be careful. You have to prompt it right. The analyzer will scan the documents. With the Excel files, you actually have to tell it which fields to look for, or it can hallucinate, even my model. So you got to tell it, and it prompts you, what fields are we looking at? And then it'll validate it. So it validates, make sure here are those cells that I see. These are the values in those cells. Is this correct? You say yes. And then it will actually tell you where there are opportunities within the OM, the T12, and the rent roll, where there are discrepancies, where there's red flags, where things don't match between them, and help you analyze between them so that you can make better decisions. And it does it. You can have all of them uploaded, the cells selected, and get all the way to the end result in 3 minutes, rather than flipping through a 40, 50 page OM, trying to decipher where the broker's lying, or where they don't lie. They over embellish. Where we over embellish on our OMs, where the T12 and rent rolls don't match, or where the T12 and the OM doesn't match. We spend hours and hours sifting through that before we say, okay, is this worth looking at? We have better things to do. So where you could do 1, now with this tool, you can do 10.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so crazy. And I think what's really special about your software is that, and we've even gone through a few of the webinars, you're so gracious in your webinars. You walk everyone through everything. You have that AI master prompt list. That was so helpful. And I think what's great about your software is you have those like checks and balances in there where someone could go use AI and like use the prompts, but like you're saying, if you don't prompt it correctly and you don't make sure it checks itself or like verifies the right cells, you could end up with misinformation.
Yes. Yeah, hallucinations. That's why I call the LLMs large lying models, not large language models. But you just have to understand how to get it to work right. And really, it all boils down to the tools they use. See, originally, the LLMs were created just off their own training that the developers taught them. And they didn't have search capability. So ChatGPT, when it first came out, it did not search the internet. It just, you remember Watson with IBM? That's all ChatGPT was a smaller version of Watson. And as the systems innovated, Perplexity came out, and Perplexity was the first that searched the internet. And so you got more, if you remember GPT, when it first came out, it said, and let's see, it came out in 23, and it said that we can only pull data that's older than, I think it was November 2021. It gave you a month and a year. I'm pretty sure that's what. So it was almost 2 years old. You couldn't get anything in there because that's when it was trained. Perplexity came out, and all of a sudden you can get up-to-date information with just in a couple of months. And everybody scratching their head going, ooh, and ChatGPT went, uh-oh. And so they started innovating. And then Claude came out and changed it all. Claude came out with all these tools, and that's all search was a tool for the LLM. The LLM was trained, and now it had this tool it could search. And so Claude came out and said, oh, I got you. You can search, you can connect your Gmail, you can connect your calendars, you can connect your Drive, your WhatsApp, your social media, your Notion if you have a Notion account. Yeah, you want to connect a tool? Go create one, we'll connect it for you. And now the other models, you're starting to see that. So now they're starting to come out with more and more tools. GPT is still a minimal amount, but more than Perplexity. Perplexity really just has the deep research and the search, but now they have labs. And so labs can be a game changer as it improves. But nothing is going to, I think, beat Claude and Claude Code. Gemini with Google is trying with CLI. They're trying to compete with Claude Code, but I'm paying attention to all it because that's what this is right behind me, right? Trying to see that. That's Claude Code in a cursor terminal. Nothing's, I think, for a little while is going to compete with Claude Code because they were the first and they'd spent a lot of time on it and they came out with it. Now everybody else has to catch up to it. CLI included. So that's kind of where we are.
Well, you talk about Claude and how it would let you go out and build this platform. Talk about Acquisition Pro, because from an originator's perspective, I was blown away with everything that your system can do, where it could give you a VoIP number. It's got CRM built into it. So kind of talk through the process of all the features and the bells and whistles that are in Acquisition Pro.
I don't think we have enough time.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
So easy enough and transparent. You guys know how transparent I am. All Acquisition Pro is a system that is licensed on High Level's platform. A lot of people call it Go High Level. Go High Level is just their website. The company name is High Level, which is an all-in-one marketing platform. There's only 4 out there right now. High Level is one of them. Kartra is the next one. Groove is another one. As a matter of fact, the creator, and I've met and know this guy, he's out of Miami. His name's Mike Filsaime. So if you've ever been in internet marketing, you know the name Mike Filsaime. He's one of the original gurus. He was one of the original creators of Kartra and then got into a riff with them. He left Kartra and went and built Groove to compete with Kartra. I got to be honest, Kartra's better. Anyway, and then there's ClickFunnels. They like to think they're an all-in-one. They're not. Greatest marketer in the world owns ClickFunnels, a guy named Russell Brunson. Make no mistake. You want to learn marketing? Learn from Russell Brunson. But his tool's not that great. My opinion. Sorry, Russell, if you ever catch this podcast in the future. Love you to death, brother, but I don't like ClickFunnels. And High Level is the only one of all of them that license the software. So as commercial real estate brokers, we're familiar with Pipedrive. We're familiar with Apto. Both Apto and Pipedrive are built on Salesforce. Same thing. It's their system. It's being licensed from Salesforce, so they can use the back-end software, and they've built their systems on it. And that's what Acquisition Pro is, built on High Level. It's got the CRM. It's got, and you guys mentioned it, it's got phone, so a VoIP system so that you can voice and text message. And there's also even more power to it. You can connect AI voice agents to it to answer your phone. For God's sakes, don't use it to call out. You'll get in trouble. Regulatory worries. Message me. I'll talk to you about it. But you do not want to do right now in the current climate we're in until they start changing some of the rules. You do not want to do outbound AI voice. That'll get you in trouble. You've also got AI agents that can do your conversation on text message or in your social media. So we have social media connections in here. A lot of people are used to Hootsuite, which connects all of your social media platforms into one scheduler. We can do that inside of Acquisition Pro. You've got a membership side. So what we used to call a long time ago, back when WordPress first came out, a walled garden. It just means you've got a place where your users can log in and have a community like the strategic partnering community, where you can offer courses and things like that. If you're a sponsor and you're on the real estate investing side, then you could keep your investors in a community and communicate with them on a consistent basis. For brokers, you can do the same thing. Build communities with your clients. A great way. Community is one of the number one ways to build your presence online. My Facebook community built my online presence. There aren't a lot of people in multifamily that don't know my name. And it's because of the presence I built within my community and going to the different conferences and doing things like that. It's also got page builders. Sorry, ClickFunnels. You already know this. So if you have a ClickFunnels account, you can actually import your funnels from ClickFunnels into Acquisition Pro or High Level. They have that functionality because they modeled theirs after ClickFunnels. A lot of people model a lot of stuff off each other, but you can build landing pages. So this is a great way to collect contact information. You can build your website in here. You don't, for God's sake, stop using Wix and stop using Squarespace. Oh my goodness. Do you want to be captured? We're real estate people. Think of leasing a prop like a ground lease. You don't actually own the ground. You're just leasing the ground. Well, that's what Squarespace and Wix does to you, as well as ClickFunnels, by the way. So you can't leave ever. And if you want to leave, you lose your stuff. You don't own it. They do. You're just leasing. With Acquisition Pro and High Level, you own all your own content. You own your intellectual property, your websites, the stuff you build, your contacts. They own it. ClickFunnels owns it. And if you ever want to leave ClickFunnels, you're stuck. They keep everything. All they let you do is export your contacts. That's it. We have automations. So MailChimp, Constant Contact, what and real estate professionals love, they're junk. If you want to pay for automations, you can, but it is expensive to pay for automations with those two products and HubSpot included. And they don't support it very well. Like, good luck getting a hold of support. So that's probably the biggest benefit you get with Acquisition Pro is I support the product. So if you run into a problem, you're talking to me. I am the face of this product, and I am also the customer relations part of this product. And I'm the salesperson of this product. I do have some partners on standby. If something happens to me, they know what to do with it. So you don't have to worry about that.
You're so generous with your time, by the way. Brittany and I scheduled a consultation time with you because I'm cultivating a relationship with a student housing buyer in the University of Oregon area that's looking to buy 200 to 300 units. And, you know, I've been a CCIM since 2008 and I've got a database and all that, but I thought I need to talk to David. I need to talk to you to find out how do I shorten this process to go do what I need to do. And you know, you were kind enough to walk Brittany and I through how to use some of the tools in Acquisition Pro. And we got off that phone call and I was like, I'm ready. Lace up my kids. Let's do this. So pretty amazing. And for the listeners, you talk about MailChimp a lot. One thing I hear you say a lot is you don't like it because it's spammy. So we should add that for those of you that are using MailChimp as your outreach to your investors, you could very easily be going into their spam filter, even though you're putting out content. You're way more of an expert about that. David, do you want to just touch on that briefly?
Well, the reason is you're on a shared server. And think about what MailChimp's known for. You're e-blasting flyers. So you're never going to hit an inbox unless somebody white labels you and accepts the fact that you're getting all these flyers. They're going to go to your promotions folder. If you're in a Google Workspace account and you collect all your emails inside of Google, or Outlook doesn't have a promotions. So if it's bad, it'll go to spam and you just won't ever see it. It'll come to your inbox in Outlook. But in Google, Yahoo, and Hotmail and all those other ones, oh God, don't use Hotmail. They all will have promotions folders, and that's anything with an image or that's a flyer like that, automatic promotions, period. And if you're on a blacklisted server, and make no mistake, you're on shared servers, so they don't vet who sends out those email blasts. So if you're on a shared server with spammers, then that server's IP has probably been blacklisted and you're never even going to make the inbox. You'll go right to not even the promotions folder, you go right to spam. You got to be very careful using those tools. Even in Acquisition Pro, we have the ability to create templates and create flyers inside of Acquisition Pro that you can send. But I try to tell people, don't. If you want to be in their inbox, there should not be any images. You can have links, you can have nice messaging, make it clean looking. Just get rid of the images. All those images, it's just going to send it to the promotions folder. So that's why I say that all the time.
Super
It has
helpful.
to do with
and
the
I know
server.
you said too, emojis, not to include emojis too.
When you're prompting AI, make sure that if you're asking for scripts or email templates, you can even, if you're building a landing page, you can write the copy of your landing page inside of AI. Make sure you tell it no emojis, no hashtags, because it loves its emojis and hashtags, and it will put it in there. Well, guess what? Everybody else doesn't like and is used to it now. It's the emojis and hashtags. And if it's in your email content, spam. So
That makes
don't
sense.
do that. Don't do I made the mistake of
Super
doing it.
helpful.
It didn't work out.
Yeah. So as brokers, as commercial real estate brokers, you guys are dealing with really sensitive information, stuff that you don't want to go out to the public yet, stuff that maybe you signed an NDA, with the seller, and that information can't go out. So can you tell the listeners how to prevent being held liable in an NDA through if they're searching prompts on ChatGPT and Perplexity?
Yeah. So ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google Gemini, they all default to sharing your chat with their LLM so that their LLM can learn from your chat. So if you upload a document, it is scanning that document and the LLM is reading that document. It is now available to the world. That doesn't mean somebody knows they could go pull an OM from ARA Newmark on a student housing project in Huntsville. That's not what that means. But it can learn from what could be proprietary material within that document on how they do certain things. So ask the right question, proprietary information can start to get filtered in. A good example of that is it's really easy to ask an LLM to create an LOI for you on a property. And boy, does it create some amazing LOIs. You just give it the address, give it the terms, the price, the conditions, if there's broker fees, everything we put in an LOI, and it spits out this amazing product. And then it'll even ask you, hey, would you like some more stuff we know that can protect you and even protect the seller if the LOI is from the buyer, and it should be. And it'll go in and create even more clauses. Where do you think it got that information from? Probably some proprietary LOIs that had been shared. Hey, because you can ask it, upload an LOI and say, what are the red flags here? And so it is seeing all these LOI and purchase agreements and attorney documents. You don't need an attorney anymore. You can use the LLMs. I didn't say that out loud. Don't hold me to that. So let's preface this with, I am not an attorney or a CPA, nor do I pretend to be one or play one in real or imaginary life. This is for informational purposes only. So let's get that out of the way. All right. So Claude is the only one that keeps your chats private. It does not share with the LLM. You can select in your settings to share it. Don't. But with GPT, Perplexity, and Gemini, you've got to go into your settings. So we did this last night in the masterclass. Let me pull this up real quick. So if I go to settings, I don't remember if we were in GPT or if we were in, no, we were in GPT. And I go to data controls. There's a prompt in here for improve the model for everyone. It defaults on. That means the LLM is grabbing everything in your chats, everything you're uploading, it's grabbing it and bringing it into the LLM to be available for the world. You can turn that off. You can do the same thing with Perplexity. You could do the same thing with Gemini. So that's what you were talking about.
I didn't even know that was happening behind the scenes, but you're right. When you see chat give you something, you're like, wow, that is an amazing document. Well, now I know it's probably proprietary and other things. So that's interesting. Let's talk about texting sellers because I get so many texts and it irritates me so bad because these guys want to sell me sales leads. And it's always, we've got a list of people that are looking for homes. And I'm thinking, you dodos, you don't even understand. I do commercial only. And I just delete them. But the funny thing is, when I got your text, you popped into my text and I saw your name at the top. I saw you were a CCIM. I didn't quite have time to I read your text, but I didn't have time to respond. So I just let it hang there for 2 days. And then when I finally had time, I texted you back and I was like, hey, did I miss your class? You know, I was tied up, I was out of town, but I'm really interested. And then you texted me right back. So from a commercial broker standpoint that wants to outreach to multifamily owners, my concern with texting to them is I think they're probably inundated with texts from the big houses, Marcus and Millichap, you know, where they've got the young brokers, they put them in a bullpen. So tell me, what's the best way to text message sellers without making them mad, like what I feel when I get those texts that want to sell me a sales sheet that isn't my world?
So first, I'm going to tell you why it can be illegal to do that. And
Okay.
then I'm going to share a story why you don't ever want to do that. I lost $1 million, $1 million commission doing exactly that. Let's say that in a second. But first, let's talk about the regulation. There is a regulation out there called A2P10DLC. It is a federal communications regulation. So federal. It got implemented in September of 2024.
Okay. Wow.
And it prevents anyone from sending marketing text messages, so bulk text messaging. You can individually send a text message, and that's what I had done, and I'll talk about why you don't want to do that either. But you're prevented from using a marketing system to send text messages. It's federally regulated by the FCC. A2P 10 DLC is the regulation if you want to look it up. Basically what it says, don't do it unless you have explicit permission from the person receiving the message to receive marketing messages from you. And there are rules behind how you get that explicit permission. On an internet-based system like Acquisition Pro is, or if you're utilizing online systems to collect leads like most of us do, we have the ability to capture that permission via a little box that they can check underneath our form that is about this big, and literally the box is this big, of text that states that you're this person. They agree to receive text messaging material from you in the future for marketing messages a way that they can stop receiving those messages, and a contact number that they can contact you if they have questions. And it's got to have your terms and conditions and your privacy policy in that message, even though your terms and privacy is lower on the page. They don't care. They want it there. So to get that approval, you have to follow this process. And then if they ever do unsubscribe by texting stop, you cannot text them anymore. If you do, you are subject to the same violations that you're subject to in the no-call law. This is all written into that same law. A2P 10 DLC is part of the no-call regulations. They just needed it for text messaging. Now, that's the rules. And we have A2P 10 DLC availability inside of Acquisition Pro and High Level. And I've got about a 97% success rate first time approval, which is unheard of because I just listened to what they said you need and I implemented it. The great thing about Acquisition Pro is when you join, all the templates are already built for you. That disclaimer is already in a templated website that you already have access to, so we can get that A2P registration done quickly. So it's all built. It's all there. Now the story. There was a 5 property portfolio in Mobile that was a total of 2,107 units, but had just had a fire on one of the properties. And they were scraping those buildings. So the actual rentable unit count was 1,986, I think. A lot of units. This was 2018. This was 2018. And I knew the former owners. The owners had sold it. They're local. They developed the properties many years ago, a couple decades ago, and they sold it to a private equity firm out of New York. So I went to one of the principals there and I said, hey, I am having a heck of a time. I know these guys want to sell those 5 properties. I'm having a heck of a time getting a hold of them. Can you help? Can you give me an introduction? He goes, I'll do one better for you. Here's the CEO's cell phone number. This is a very large private equity company in New York City, to give you an idea. So I text him. First, I tried calling, he didn't answer. So I sent him a text message. 2 minutes later, my phone rings. He had pulled over on the side of the road, and he let me know it. Who is this? So this is David Monroe. I'm a CCIM, and I don't care. Why are you texting me? And I said, I'm very familiar with the 5 property portfolio you have in Mobile. I'm on vacation with my family in the Poconos, and I receive this blatant text message from you while I'm driving. I don't care if you've got every buyer in the planet, you will never sell my properties. And he hung up on me.
Wow.
That portfolio ended up selling for $130 million. And I had a buyer on the hook for a 1% fee.
Wow.
$1.3 million fee out the window because of a text message.
So looking back, how would you have done that differently? Tried to maybe email him and do a warm introduction?
I tried emailing, but I was trying to email him. I should have been trying to email their asset manager.
Yeah.
That's right. You talked about that last night in the webinar that
acquisitions manager, if you're looking for buyers. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Stop trying to get a hold of the boss. Just get a hold of decision makers. They're influencers. They are. They're the ones that help make that decision. Just go to them. So much easier. And they don't have gatekeepers.
Yeah, that's so true.
That is so scary.
If someone is listening to this and they're interested in Acquisition Pro, how often do you have your webinars? Brittany will put in the show notes how they can get a hold of you and get to your website. But I was amazed the first time I sat through your first webinar. How often do you hold those? How do commercial brokers find you?
So David Monroe, CCIM.com is my business card. That is my website. It's really a link tree template, but it's the exact template that you get when you sign up in Acquisition Pro. So all you have to do is email me, message me, text me, sign up for any of my trainings. I'm very easy to get a hold of. Very easy to get a hold of, as you guys will attest to. Yeah. My next masterclass, and I do masterclasses. I don't do webinars. I hate webinars because webinars are lectures. I do master classes because I like to involve the students. Last night, I involved everybody in the conversation. We talked about the prompts. I shared the prompts. It's too hard to do that in a webinar. So I hate webinars. So we have interactive, they're just Zoom meetings, interactive master classes. And my next one's next week. Same exact one, just different section of my email list. So I got 50,000 people on my email list. I only sent it to 5,000 this last time. So next segment's next week. Sometimes I can't do them because of conflicts, but I try to do them either every week or every other week on Wednesday evenings throughout the year. Been fairly consistent this year, at least more consistent than in the past. So that's how you get a hold of me.
Okay, and before you go, please tell the listeners about your commercial real estate broker pro package that you're going to be rolling out, just to whet their appetite and give them something for a reason that they really need to reach out to you.
So this that you see behind me is CRE Brokerage Pro. And it is an all-in-one tool that will allow you to have your CRE, and it ties directly into and is built into Acquisition Pro or high level. So they're all communicating with each other so that you can find deals, nurture deals, underwrite deals, and win deals all inside this platform. As a broker, it's got, and there's just so many features to even mention, it's got the CRM connection. You can put in listings, deals that you're working on. It's got market analysis and the best market analysis you've seen because it just happens to be what I teach for the CCIM Institute. I like to believe that my specialty inside multifamily is market analysis. I've got ways where we use AI that will do your market analysis for you automatically, like in minutes, not days that it normally took. So where you're paying $10,000 to $20,000 for a consultant to do your market analysis for you, my tool will do it for you in about 5 to 10 minutes. Done. And it just more and more and more, right? It's the underwriting calculator. It's got different facets of it. There are multiple sections to it. My goal, and the reason it hasn't been released yet, and I'm in talks with a bunch of different companies, the same companies I've been talking to are where CoStar and Yardi and these other products, CRE Market Pro with Moody's, are getting their data from. I'm hoping that within 30 to 60 days, this will become a replacement for those not so friendly tools, if you will. But we'll be able to replace CoStar or Yardi Matrix or Moody's Market Pro or any of these other products. It's not in there yet, but that's the goal when I release it, is to have that data so that we can get market analytics, get the rent analytics, get the absorption data, get the rent data, occupancy, construction, everything that we need to build our underwriting models, which also ties and feeds into my real estate cycle plotter. So if you live outside the top 54 MSAs, you don't need Dr. Muller anymore. You can actually plot your own market using my market cycle plotter. You can do that today, but it's a little rudimentary. I'm going to make it a ton better. So that's kind of what it is. It will be launching in about 30 to 60 days. And I made everybody on the masterclass last night an offer to get lifetime access to that, which is going to be very limited. So
I am on the list, right?
you are on the list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. You made it. You made it.
David, you should be on Time Magazine of Man of the Year because I'm telling you, for those of you that are driving, write his email down.
David at davidmonroeccim.com.
Don't worry. We're going to put that in the show notes for sure. And all the other links to your tools. And you guys, if you're out there and you aren't convinced yet, I don't know what else will convince you that David has really harnessed the power of the AI tools for the everyday commercial broker. Like I know Rene said before we even jumped on this call, we were like, are we going to do this episode and release it to everyone? But no, we're so happy to have you here, David. Thank you so much for sharing all of your information. If you're ready to rethink your approach and sharpen your value in today's CRE market, make sure to follow Commercial Connections wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep investing with confidence.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
David, thank you. We owe you, brother.